Hello and welcome. If you're a system administrator at a school, you know the drill. You're juggling tight budgets and ever-growing tech demands. Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're going to walk through a powerfully simple way to manage your school's server infrastructure. It's a method that's all about clarity, efficiency, and honestly, just keeping your sanity. So let's jump right in and look at the challenge you're probably facing every single day.
So let me ask you a question that probably hits a little too close to home. How in the world are you supposed to manage your school's computer labs in this day and age? The old ways of doing things, they just aren't cutting it anymore, are they?
You're basically caught between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, you've got the old way, high-cost physical labs, tons of complex on-site maintenance. But the new reality demands low budgets, simple remote management, and access for students from literally anywhere. And you need tools that are practical, not ones that take months to learn. It's a huge challenge.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with that big challenge. Then I'll introduce you to an amazing solution called the Docker Scripts ecosystem. We'll walk through its four-stage lifecycle, see how it automates all the tricky security stuff, and then we're going to build a virtual computer lab from scratch. Finally, we'll look at the simple power and real savings this brings.
Right, so let's dig into the core problem here. Traditional computer labs, and even a lot of modern virtual solutions, can be just ridiculously expensive and time-consuming. I mean, just think about the hours you've spent installing the same piece of software on 30 different machines or wrestling with some overly complex server tool. There's just got to be a smarter way to do this.
And guess what? There is. What if you could manage everything, all of your applications, with a set of simple, totally transparent shell scripts? Well, that's exactly where the Docker Scripts ecosystem comes in. It's a super sensible way to orchestrate or, manage all your server apps, and it's built on tools that you probably already know and trust.
Okay, so what are Docker scripts? Well, you know Docker, right? The tool that lets you pack up applications into these lightweight little boxes called containers. Docker scripts is a framework of smart shell scripts that basically wraps around Docker and makes managing those containers way easier. It's designed to be a much more straightforward and flexible alternative to some of the more complex tools out there. Now, what makes this so cool is its core philosophy. Instead of breaking an application into a dozen tiny little microservices, each in its own container, the idea here is to bundle all the related services for one app into a single, self-sufficient container. This makes each container act kind of like its own lightweight, all-in-one virtual machine.
And this philosophy really comes to life through a super clear four-stage lifecycle. For every single application you want to set up, whether it's a website, a database, or a whole virtual lab, you follow the exact same predictable and repeatable process. It just takes all the guesswork out of managing your servers.
And here's what that four-step dance looks like. First, acquisition. You pull the scripts for the app you need. Second, initialization. You init a unique instance of it. Third, configuration. You just edit a single, simple settings.sh file. And finally, instantiation. You run dsmake, and boom, it builds and launches the whole thing for you.
This table really lays it out perfectly. Each command has a super clear purpose. Pull is all about getting the blueprints. Init creates a nice, isolated workspace for your project. Editing that settings.sh file is where you customize it for your school's specific needs. And make, well, that's the magic command that brings it all to life. It's so logical and easy to follow.
So, okay, you've got all your apps running in their happy little containers. That's great. But how do you handle all the web traffic coming to your server? More importantly, how do you deal with security and those pesky SSL certificates without giving yourself a massive headache?
The answer, and this is the secret weapon of the whole system, is a special container called WS Proxy. Just think of it as the single, smart, secure front door for your entire server. All web traffic hits this one container first, and it acts like a traffic cop, automatically routing every request to the right application container behind the scenes. And this one container is an absolute powerhouse. It automates the entire process of getting and renewing free SSL certificates from Let's Encrypt. You never have to think about it again. It forces everything to use secure HTTPS, but maybe most importantly, it completely hides your actual application containers from the internet. They don't need to expose any ports at all, which shrinks your attack surface down to almost nothing.
All right, now for what I think is the real killer app for any school. Using this system to build a complete virtual computer lab. Yeah, I'm talking about deploying a full-featured Linux desktop that your students can get to from anywhere with nothing but a web browser.
And just look how simple this is. We're using that exact same four-stage life cycle we've been talking about. You pull the desktop scripts, You initialize an instance, you edit one little settings file, and you run dsmake. That's it, you're done. Students and teachers just open a browser, go to the URL, and log in. No special software, no plugins, nothing.
And this isn't just some dumb remote desktop. No way. This is a real teaching tool. It comes with software called Apoptis built right in, which gives teachers all the controls they'd expect in a physical lab. They can see who's logged in, watch student screens live, broadcast their own screen for a demo, and even jump in and take control of a student's desktop to help them out directly.
So let's bring it all together. The crucial point here is understanding how all this simple power translates into real, actual benefits for your school. We're talking about more than just slick technology. This is about making a genuine impact on your budget and, just as importantly, your time.
Now, if you've been around container orchestration, you've definitely heard of Kubernetes. But honestly, for a typical school, using Kubernetes is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It's just massive overkill. Docker Scripts is designed for the real world most of us live in, a single server running a bunch of different things. The learning curve is super low because it's just shell scripts you can actually read. It's transparent and has almost no overhead.
And here's the bottom line. What does this all mean for you? It means reduced costs because you can run this on a cheap server or even old hardware you already have. It means simplified maintenance. Seriously, install software once and you're done. It means incredible accessibility for your students. And it means better security by default, all while automating the tedious jobs that used to eat up your entire day. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What could you, your teachers, and your students accomplish if you could trade in all that complexity for this kind of focused, simple power? What would that transform for your school's IT?